papers. For practicing, layout paper is the best idea. This is layout paper. There are various manufacturers, but I think Dela is the most readily available, and it's adequate. It's not the best, but it's adequate. It comes in A4, A3, A2 size pads, and it's reasonably cheap compared to many other papers. There are also pads calling themselves marker pads, and these are okay, and sometimes they're actually better than layout paper for practicing on. Layout paper is translucent. It's a bit like tracing paper in as much as you can see through it. So if I put this underneath, I don't know if you can see it on the video here, but I could trace around that very easily. So you can put a lined up sheet underneath your layout paper and you'll be able to see it, and you'll be able to write over the top of it. Save yourself rolling up. Okay, so that's layout paper. You'll be using that more than anything else for practicing and doing paste ups as well, which is an important part of calligraphy. For finished work, it's best to use a hot pressed paper. This means that the paper has been put through hot rollers in the paper making manufacturing process, and this means that it slightly seals the surface, so it's better to write on. What you don't want is a watercolor paper or any sort of absorbent paper that will allow the ink to spread into the fibers and feather out around the letter form. You want sharpness. That's quite important in calligraphy. So hot press paper, it will say on the pad, or if you buy individual sheets from an art shop, it will say HP or hot pressed. What you want to avoid is what's called a knot surface, N-O-T, or a cold press surface, which is really watercolor papers. There is a time and a place for watercolor papers in calligraphy, but I can't go into that here. There is a bewildering range of papers on the market, and you can buy a swatch of paper samples, and you can try them out to see if these are if it's the paper for you. So you can see here, this is when I've done little trials on these bits of paper to see whether I like them or not. Now the company that I've bought from in the past, if you happen to be in England, Faulkner Fine Papers is the biggest paper suppliers in England, or the biggest range of papers, and they're situated in Longacre. Or they're not actually, I'm wrong, they're in Southampton Row. They used to be in Longacre, but you'll find them on the internet if you want to get them, these paper samples by post. So there's mind-blowing number of options, and we can't go into all these. The only thing I can suggest is that you stick to a hot pressed paper and try to avoid papers like this one, which you probably can't see very well on the video, but it's got a sort of fake vellum surface, and they call themselves calligraphy parchment paper or something like that. And a good rule of thumb is if it says calligraphy, just don't have anything to do with it. So papers. Having said that, good quality cartridge paper is quite adequate for calligraphy. I use it quite a bit. You don't need to shell out a lot of money for but a good quality cartridge paper is, I've got some heavyweight cartridge, smooth surface cartridge paper here. Doesn't need to be heavyweight, but anyway, so that's that. The other thing, of course, for writing on, which I almost forgot, is vellum. This is a sheet of vellum. There's a couple of offcuts of vellum. Vellum is by far the best writing surface if you prepare it properly, and it's also stood the test of time because we've still got wonderful manuscripts dating back hundreds of years which are written on vellum. You can also make erasures on vellum quite easily. Look at my video on corrections, which I forget what number it is, but vellum is a good surface to write on. However, if you're just starting, I don't recommend that you write on vellum because vellum is terrifically expensive. I think there's only one manufacturer, in fact I'm sure there's only one manufacturer of vellum in England. I'm not sure about in Europe or America. And it's extraordinarily expensive. Don't even think about it unless you're very good or you have a special job. So that's papers and vellums. So I'll see you in the next video.